Basketball players do a lot of running and jumping, which places a lot of stress on their bones. Can you tell us what is a stress fracture and how do those get treated?
Stress fractures can happen due to overload. A fracture, as the layperson would know, is a break in the bone, and a stress fracture is the same thing, but it's more on a microscopic level. Stress fractures can happen and not even show up on X-ray, and sometimes can only be an MRI finding or other very sensitive test. So stress fractures are basically when the bone is overloaded to a level where it cannot tolerate it, and there's often microscopic breakdown, and the patient will then complain of weight-bearing pain. Very common stress fractures can happen in the foot and the tibia, for example. We had a player 1 to 2 years ago that was plagued with a tibial stress fracture, and we see this in the NBA, we see it in the NFL. And initially we would try to treat these with relative rest, and the important thing about a stress fracture is first you have to rule out any metabolic causes. So that's more a problem, say, in women and females, especially cross-country runners and so forth, especially adolescents. Not as common in men to have nutritional problems, but we do see it in women. With respect to the routine stress fracture that we see in the NBA, relative rest in terms of continuing to load the bone but not overloading it. So bone responds well to load, but if it's too much, then potentially it can lead to breakdown. So when someone does have a stress fracture, we ask them to be active, but only to the point where they just have discomfort. And typically these can heal. Sometimes we'll use a bone stimulator, and they rarely will require surgery, but there are some instances where they just don't heal despite relative rest, and when that happens, they need to be stabilized. And if it's in the foot, sometimes that's just with screws or plates, and if it's in the tibia, that can be a plate or even a rod that goes down the central canal of the tibia, for example.